All right, and here's an update on the last one. Um, Jeez, I'm a dancing fool. I have no pain in my feet. If I consciously, if I'm unaware completely of the earth for a while, I can sometimes feel a little twinge, like, hey, where are you? Where's your communication? And as soon as I bring that back and feel it again in my lower spine, like I mentioned in the previous video, um, there is no pain. It, and we're talking over a week now, basically, with no pain. It's been 25 years since I've had no pain in my feet, and it's a different world to tread upon without it. I gotta tell you, and it feels different too. It's once again the terrarium I was in got changed on me during the day. It's not the same place I woke up in. Um, I spoke last time about communicating more and feeling that communication, like in my lower back when I'm feeling the earth and not experiencing any form of pain in my feet. And like I said, it's even the calluses that have been there are less. It's not. It's miraculous. It really is. Especially for someone who's worked in medicine and surgery all this time, where my weekly or bi-weekly treatment is shaving off hard rocks off my feet with a scalpel. Um, but the purpose of the video is to talk about the communication. And I've had several different communications where just feeling like the earth in my lower chakras, it feels in a lower place. I also feel like I can feel the water higher up, which is even more interesting. I mean, it's part of the earth. We sort of the same thing, but no, there's water, there's earth. And it's when I think I feel them separately, like the water is above that, higher, like a pillar churning above where the feeling of the earth is. And I can't get over it. It's just the reality of it. And if I think water, boom, there's that sensation there in part of my spine or chakra area. And if I think earth, there it is lower down. Um, Fascinating. It's repetitive. Um, it is interesting. During this time, I've mostly just been working with the two crystals I'm allowed, which are these two. This is the one I happened to have last week when I was had my feet cured. Really haven't been using that, or this one. These two I've been working with when I could. What's interesting is, once again, White Peacock Woman and her process and instruction only keep me to two crystals and working with only their portals. This one, the little triangle here that's lit up, is the portal on this one. It's just one of the faces on the point. It's a polished citrine from Brazil. And this is a apophyllite I mentioned. And its particular spot is right here at the base, but more so off this corner in the back, which I usually have it. This is the back of how I wear it. Usually I wear it, it looks like this. But the point being, um, I'm laying and feeling the earth, feeling in communication um, in my lower spine, and having, I don't know, it's hard to place it because you don't want to put, well, I'm having a conversation with a planet, but at the same time, you have thoughts in your head, and you're holding a blank slate on response or process, just seeing what appears there, and some of it can come as a rather complete thought. And I mentioned this before somewhere in the writings, and you notice the difference because it sort of comes all together as opposed to you stepstoning your way through logically to whatever it is you're getting. And I kind of hear like a voice, in my head, give me an answer. And what's interesting is at that point I'm like, okay, fine, a little voice answer, and then the answer I got was again one of those answers that, had the answer been there a split second before, it was complete enough to where I would not have asked the question because it's already there. That's a complete enough answer. I wouldn't have needed to ask it. But still, a split second arrival. And but I heard it was like a voice, and I'm like, I understand feeling sensation and feeling energy, and like the voice, open your foot to me, that helped heal my feet. And I asked the question in my mind, how can you possibly speak to me in a voice and in English? And the next moment I can only describe as like a moment from if you've ever seen The Matrix, when Neo's hooked up for the first time to the computers, and he downloads like kung fu and all these other martial arts in a very short time. And it just zzz, boom, and he opens his eyes. I know kung fu, you know. And it was like that. It was like a huge download at once, and it was a ton of information. And in the span of a tenth of a second, I got what seemed like the entire evolution of the planet, and how many millions of years it's been watching the entire process of all of that. I mean, just all of it crammed into a brief moment, to the point where it's like, I, I've watched you crawl out of the ocean, much less reach the point you're at for every moment. How could it possibly be I couldn't communicate with you? And the answer was almost ridiculous by the time I got to it, that moment later, that, duh, you know. So, and that's how I feel about it now, saying it. It's like, yeah, that is kind of a silly question. But from another perspective, it's not. But from all of that really quickly, ooh, yeah, it's a different answer. Yeah, kind of a download. Just bang. Wow. Okay, yeah, I get that answer completely. Thank you very much. And I've also learning that a lot, that thanking and treating all of these as though they are conscious beings is a huge part of the process. And giving them basically a hug and say hello, hello, thank you, and what can I learn, and what's best for me, and let's give it a go, and try the things I'm talking about. I'd love to hear your response to these things, and your response to applying this. The few people I had share with it had amazing response as well. Thanks again. Namaste.